How's it going, guys? So in today's video we're going to check out how I made this awesome naturalistic desert enclosure for one of the coolest animals we actually have here. Now we're going to start with an empty enclosure and work our way up from there. So our first order of business is to make the rock background. I've been really getting into my mock rocking lately, just done the mountain dragon enclosure, and I've been thinking I'm going to do this for all the enclosures moving forward as far as I can. It just makes so much more room for the animal and it's a really fun creative process. Now, first thing I got to do was carve some foam, attach that to the background and stick it in place. From there, I pretty much covered it in a couple of layers of tile pointing. Now this helps for a few reasons. It gives the concrete something to grip to, and it also means if you carve down too deep, you'll actually just hit that tile pointing and not expose any foam or anything like that.
Alright, let's start putting the cement on. Now, the sort of consistency you want, it's kind of a bit like this sort of thick putty. And that way, so when you slap it against the wall, it should hopefully stick on and not fall off. It can be quite moldable and be able to be shaped later on. Let's just go.
I usually just go with a 50-50 mix. General purpose cement or general builder's cement to bricky sand or Sydney sand. As long as it's mixed well and adheres to the wall quite easily, you can literally just ball it up in your hand, throw it on there, and it should stick right on. Now once the whole wall is covered, you can then carve it out and let it dry a little bit. Now something I did for this build, which I'm starting to do a little bit more now, is I've actually made my own rock mold stamps. So I'll hopefully explain this process in a future video, but you essentially make a mold of actual real rock, which then you can use to imprint onto the cement and make those really natural formations. Now from there you let it dry a little bit until it's a bit easier to carve and put in that fine detail. And from there you can start doing all your cracking and other line work and everything like that. it looks pretty cool, and this is where the real fun begins. You can start painting it. So for this one, obviously being a desert themed exhibit, I was going to go for that sort of orangey, rusty red type look that you get in Central Australia here, and so I went with a few different colours. So I started with a black layer first, that way it's just a really solid base coat. On top of that, then some oranges and different yellows, and then to finish it off, some more oranges and reds, and then a little bit of other details as well. Just really finding that artistic touch to it, looking at reference photos and finding the right colour combinations that make it look quite naturalistic. So what we're left with is a rock background that I'm really quite happy with. It's turned out very, very well. And something you'll notice yourself if you start to do your own rock work is after every single one you do, you have something to take away and do better next time. So there's things I'd change on this one that I'll do in the future, but for what it's worth, I think it's come out very, very well. So now the background's all done, it's time to start setting up all the decorations. So we're going to start with, of course, some natural red sand, of course, to match that environment. And we're going to deck this out with a whole bunch of different plants and hollow logs and things to make it really perfect for this particular animal. Now this animal lives quite a similar life to some of my other lizards, which I have just over here, my little spiny tail skinks. If you haven't seen the recent video I did on them, make sure you go check it out. But really it has the same sort of needs. It needs hollow logs, places to feel nice and secure, and of course lots of options to climb around on and explore. So for a while now I've been fortunate enough to gather a whole host of different hollow logs, and these are great if you can come by some, or someone's chopping down a tree and they don't need any. It's good to harvest as many of these as you can, because they really come in handy when it comes to making builds like this. You can't really replicate anything like this. Of course I can do the fake rock, but I can't make a hollow log all that easily. So I'm going to pop this in here. I'm going to throw a few of these in, give the animal some choice. This one's really good, it's hollow all the way through. It's still quite large in size as well. Should fit, hopefully. Perfect. Now, the animal should really like this one. This is his old hollow log. He only had one in his last enclosure, but this one he's going to have 3 different ones. So I'm thinking I'll sort of stack this down across like that somehow. That'll be pretty cool. And much like a little Agonia depressor, they like little crevices and things to wedge themselves inside. So I'll try and add a couple of bits of bark sort of together, kind of like that, so we can use these little crevices and things to feel nice and secure. What I love about some of these hollow logs, they have these little holes here, so he's going to be able to pop his little head out and climb in and out and feel really nice and safe. Now of course I don't think any enclosure would be complete without some vegetation. Now if you've only just stumbled across my channel, I don't actually use any fake plants anymore. I use only live stuff, or stuff that was previously living that's dried out like this. This is some native grass that I've chopped up, put a little cable tie around the end so it sort of stays in place and it's dried out, and it really has that awesome natural look to it. Let's just pop these around the place. And like anything, you want a little bit of density in the environment. Again, gives the animal more things to look around in and climb on and work in between, and also of course makes it feel nice and secure and safe, as well as obviously the aesthetic properties of having some natural looking stuff in there. Just bury these into the sand a little bit. And because this guy is a pretty light animal, I'm not going to make any bases for him. You can also put like a concrete base on there, and it means they won't move around for some more heavier bodied animals. But with this guy, I don't think he's going to do too much damage to him. Now, I've said it once and I'll keep on saying it, options are important. So obviously the lizard right now has a few different options on which sort of branches and things he wants to hang out on. Obviously he has the background as well and all the grasses, but they're quite solid structures. They're not really going to move around too much. Maybe the plants will a bit, but it's also great to add in some smaller branches and things like this, more spindly stuff, which really helps him to work on his gripping muscles and everything like that as he's moving around and hunting in his environment. So I'm going to throw a few of these in as well. That way, just give him a bit of diversity. Now, of course, pretty much no setup is complete without a water bowl, and for this particular animal, basically ever since I got him, I've actually used this little terracotta dish here. Now, the interesting thing about this is it's sort of semi-porous, so over a long period of time it slowly seeps out through the bottom and into the soil. So provides a few different things, so a little bit of a humidity pocket there that the animal can go and access, as well as it also means I have to be constantly replacing the water, which is great because keeping on top of water is also very, very important. Water stagnates very, very quickly, so it's great to be able to obviously always top that up and keep it nice and fresh and have that nice little area the animal can go and hang out in. So this is really what does it for me these days. It's not so much making a box for your animal to live in, it's pretty much making a habitat, trying to replicate a natural environment. That's why we keep reptiles in the first place, really. It's just to connect with nature and just be amazed by its beauties. Now I think this enclosure is ready for its inhabitant. What I have with me here is my awesome little Gillen's monitor, of course. This guy is one of my favourite little animals. He's so active, so intelligent, and just so fun to keep. He's such a little dude, and he's going to love this new space, I think. So his enclosure before was literally right on top, and yeah, he mostly had just this one log here, but now he's got all this to enjoy. Like I said before, this is not going to be his full-time enclosure. This is only going to be for actually quite a little while, because he's actually going to get a much bigger enclosure than this. That's going to be more tall than it is wide, and it's going to be decked out with all sorts of stuff. So I'm really excited to do that in the future, but for now I just wanted to upgrade him. I had this spare enclosure and here it is. I think it's turned out pretty awesome. So let's open this up and pop him in there. So as you can see, he's going to have quite a lot of space in here. It is a 1200 by 600 by 600 enclosure, and he is just a pygmy mulga monitor, but really one of the coolest little lizards you could ever have. So I don't really hold this guy, so we'll see how he feels about this. Let's pop him in. There you go, mate. Now, he's probably going to be a bit nervous for a little while. It's a big new space. But look at that. He looks right at home. That's awesome. Guys, I'm going to leave this little lizard to enjoy his new home. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a like. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe for more Australian reptiles, and I'll see you next time.